Hello friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works workshop, and we're about to embark on part 2 of making that new top for that Kentucky mandolin. But before we get into that, I'd like to just take a couple seconds here and bend your ear for a minute. First thing I want to do is say thank you to all the subscribers out there. We've really done well in the subscriber category there. Jeff Bradshaw up in Oregon helped me out quite a bit there by introducing my channel on his channel, and I ended up picking up probably getting close to 300 new subscribers from that now. In a prior video, I don't know what was wrong with me. I said something about having 2,000 subscribers, and I don't know. I just got off it. I don't know. It was closer to 200. I put my zero in the wrong place or something, and I apologize for that. Maybe I was just excited. But anyway, I do want to thank all the subscribers for sticking with me on this, and the new ones and as well as the old ones. I'm going to be trying to improve my videography and do a better job on these videos. Jeff, as just a thank you, sent me a copy of Video Studio 8 Ultimate. Video Studio 8 Ultimate, that's by Corel. And I'm learning to use that, and I'm going to try to improve my videos with that. I've had a lot of very, very nice comments on the videos about my editing and all that sort of thing, and I appreciate that very much. But the fact is, I'm kind of a novice at it, and I will try to do better. And if you stick with me, I promise that it won't get any worse anyway. It's bound to get better. And so I thank Jeff for sending me that new video editing software, and I'm learning to use that. It's hard to find time to do all this stuff, trust me. I've just been fighting for the last 2 years just to keep up with all the repairs and stuff. One of my things that I've always said is, I don't like to get behind, and so I always stay caught up on my repairs. As a matter of fact, right now, I am absolutely caught up. I've got this mandolin top to build, and so I'll be focusing a lot more time on that. And that's a good thing, because I need to get that in and out of here. I'm sure that I know the fellow's anxious to get his mandolin back. But anyway, so thank you, Jeff, for sending me that software, and thanks for the shout out there on your channel. I really appreciate that. You might notice on the new little intro that I made for my videos, I've already had a couple of comments on that. The first picture there is a picture of a mandolin that I built. I don't know if you've noticed, if you look close, you'll notice something pretty unique about that mandolin, and that is that it's a 10-string mandolin. And I built that custom for a fellow by the name of, he is the late Carmine D'Amico. Carmine was a studio musician, and he played up in the New York area, I believe, and he pretty much laid down tracks on just about every famous person you've ever heard of. He's won many, many Grammys, and his biggest claim to fame, though, was that he played the mandolin through the Godfather movies. So anyway, that picture at the intro there is a picture of his mandolin neck, and with some of that custom inlay work and that you can see. I did a lot of inlay on that. That mandolin was on loan to the American Guitar Museum up in New York City for a while, and the director called me and said that mandolin was the most beautiful mandolin he'd ever seen, and that he had it as the centerpiece in his whole museum with in a crystal case with lights on it on a 360 deal, and he said it was just beautiful. So I was really proud of that mandolin. I know that there's been a lot of people after that mandolin since Carmine's passing, so I don't know how that came out, but anyway, I hope it ended up in very good hands. The outro, the video, as I exit with the videos now, you'll see a picture of a peg head, and unfortunately it's a little blurry, but it was the best picture of a guitar peg head that I built, and that's a custom guitar I built for my brother. My brother had done a lot of work for me over the years, and so I built that as a thank you to him. And so that shows a peg head of a 6-string guitar made on a Martin copy that I built for him. I got a phone call last evening from Mr. Todd Taylor, who is in the Guinness Book of World Records as being the fastest banjo player in the world. He has played with and tours with the Oak Ridge Boys. And he called me and said he just wanted to thank me for my videos. He just loves them, he said, and he watches them as he's going down the road in the tour bus. I thought that was a really cool call, and I was proud to get that. But no prouder of that call than all the emails and the other calls that I've received from you all that have just told me how you like my channel and that you like what I'm doing and that you want to see more of it. And I really appreciate it. It's very humbling. And again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for all that. Received lots of kind notes and emails. As a matter of fact, I got one of those this morning that said, I saved this guy's life. I thought, well, that's pretty dramatic if I saved his life. But what happened was he was building a new guitar, his first guitar, and it fell on the concrete and broke. And he was able to repair it based on watching my videos on how I repaired many things like that. And so I sent him back a note that I was glad to help him and that the exact same thing happened to me. On my very first guitar I built, it also fell to the ground and broke. So it was really kind of a flashback there, memory for me. But anyway, I sure do hope that the videos are helping you out there, and I appreciate all the kind words and all the kind messages and notes and things, and it's just been wonderful. I've had a few haters, you know, but only a couple, and that was mostly in the early videos, and especially when I didn't know how to make a video. So I can't hardly blame them, I guess, because the videos weren't very good at the very beginning, and I don't know that they're much better now, but I'm trying. I'm going to be making a video in the very near future on ancient Indian artifacts that I found here on the farm. I hope some of you find that interesting. I do this all the time. I give talks about artifacts at the local schools, and we play music for them and things like that. And I've got a big one coming up on May 11th. We're doing the Rolla Middle School, which is a very large school, and I think it's going to be all the 4th grade classes. And I'll be in a big auditorium, and so I'm going to try to make a video that they can put up on a big screen, and that way all the kids in the auditorium can get a better look at the artifacts and things, rather than me standing down there in a little tiny area in the great big auditorium. They can't really see what I'm doing. So I'll be making that video and posting that as well, and in that video I'll be going through the whole farm and showing you where I found some of these things, and show the ancient Native American grave that I found on the farm, and the cave, and some of those things. So I think you'll find that interesting. I hope you do. And getting a lot of requests for a shop tour, and I will do that, but I still am not totally happy with the shop yet, and I'm going to wait till I'm happy with it before I do the tour, because I really want it to be kind of the ultimate shop. I mean, at least it will be for me. I had spent the last 15 years in that other shop, and I know what I want to do and what I want to improve on in this shop. So we're going to get all that worked out. But anyway, that's enough of the palaver. That's what the old timers used to call it when you just kept jawing. So we'll shut up now, and we'll get into the build on this Kentucky mandolin top. Hope you enjoy it. Well, it's been several days, but I'm finally able to get back on this. We had a lot of instruments to get caught up on after the shop move, but we're about basically caught up now. And so I'm going to get back to carving this. One of the first things I want to have happen is I want to get this carved where I can get it up and make it fit. And I want to more or less eyeball and test, a bridge on here so that I know if I've got the right height. Before I start carving the inside, because I can always go lower before I carve the inside, and I would prefer to go a little bit lower. It'd be nice, but we'll see where we're at. So I'm going to work on this tang up here and see if we can get it to slide in there, and see where we're at. Thought it might be interesting to just see how much we're taking off with each stroke. So we'll just take one of the curls here and just see how many thousandths of an inch we're taking at a time. that cut there, the crack is so narrow you can barely see through it, and that's an 9/1000 cut. So that's the thickness of 2 human hairs, basically. I'm going to see what I can do about cleaning that slot up and making it a little more square. If you can see in there, it's pretty tapered, and you know, it's not very square, and I would prefer to have it fairly flat and square when I slide this in there. So we'll see what we can do about that. It's really quite a long ways from going. I'm going to think about this problem, see if I can come up with a way to open that up. I'm almost tempted to take it to my bandsaw and seeing if I can open it up and square it up on my bandsaw, running it through here. Well, if I was to give this segment a name, I'd say don't try this at home. We've got a lot of blade exposed here. I'm mocking up what I'm going to have to do. I have to have this much blade exposed because these rollers get in the way of the point and the sides. So they're all the way up. Like I said, don't try this at home. That improved it quite a bit. It's still real thin, but you know, I don't see any point in going any further and maybe having an accident there. It looks good. That's definitely an improvement over where we were, and it's relatively the same thickness all the way, which is what I like. Got the little bitty one out so I can get into the detail around this scroll here. Well, I trimmed just a little more off of there, and basically I have it now just about touching the back of the neck here where it stops. So I took the depth gauge on this caliper and just set it to here, and shows up to be about 580 thousandths roughly. So I'll just set this to be conservative. I'll set this down to about half an inch. 500 thousandths, and then what I'll do is more or less just mark this off across here, and basically we're just going to cut that off. And you know, you got to be brave to do this stuff. But I'm just squaring it off there, what looks pretty square to me, to the center line. And I'm just going to whack that off real quick on the bandsaw. I'll be right back. Okay, we whacked that off real quick. Now, as this is a taper going down, that's going to make this thicker on this edge, so it's not going to slide up in there as far. I already know that, so I'm just going to go ahead and do some more tapering here. like we might be bottomed out now. Yep, we are. Okay, so, and just by eye, I'd say we got about 1/8 of an inch or a little more to go. We got more than 1/8 of an inch, so I'm going to take about 1/8 of it off of here. Well, we whittled off another 1/8 there, and it's still a little too tight to go all the way to the bottom out spot. We're almost 1/8 from bottoming out, so basically it's in there right where it was. So, looks to me like it's fairly loose up at the very end, but it's wedging up in here, so we're just going to take a little bit of this out. Okay, we'll lop off most of that, leave the pencil mark. I just stuck it, I lopped off that other 1/8 and I stuck it back in there, and I kind of just lightly penciled in where the high spots are, that at least that I think they are. And so we're gonna, right here, we're gonna do some more tapering down. Almost there. We're getting close now. I'd say instead of an 1/8 inch now, we're probably 1/16 of where I want to be. Something like that. It could almost be 1/8. Or less. This is actually probably less than a 1/16. Okay. Just going to knock off the burr off the back there that the saw leaves. And see if she'll go all the way up there this time or not. Yeah, it's pretty close. I can force it. Still a little bit tight. It really looks like a good joint everywhere. It really does look like it's matching up perfectly almost everywhere, really. So we'll just take a little bit more off. It's really looking good. I can see a spot right here where it looks like it's rubbed. So right in there, it looks like a spot that's rubbed. I would say we're just about where we want to be, right there. And it looks like the joint's tight everywhere. So if it's good enough, you got to know when to stop. And I think we're going to stop right there as far as this joint goes and the matching of the top. Now, just for giggles and grins, I'm going to set a bridge on here just to see what it looks like. Okay, setting a bridge on there, and just looking down the neck, it's quite high, but it's quite high for a good reason. The bridge isn't really sitting down on there yet. It's high on these edges here. So I'm going to do some more profiling, and when I get the bridge sitting fairly level here, then we'll look at it again. I think we're just about where we want to be, really. I think this is just about perfect height. It looks like it is. So we're basically going to dome this whole thing to just make a nice smooth flow right over this flat area here. And I think we're going to be really good. Well, the bridge looks a little closer to fitting now. It's still not there yet, but it's getting a little closer. We'll just set her on here now and take another look at it to see if I get any ideas from the way that looks. Well, that's looking real good now. It's coming to, about middle ways of the saddle now. When it gets, about a third of the way, it's really probably on the lower third actually, just not quite up to the middle. When it gets just a little past the middle, I think we're going to be pretty close to where we want it. Well, we had a little lunch break there now. We'll get back to the business.
tea and soda pop written on the faded window sign. Ruby and Pearl are her best friends. There you'll find the three of them, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9:30. You can set a watch by their routine. Classic small town Norman Rockwell scene. They talk about the wares so-and-so. Can you believe that old coot's still alive? Their own little corner of the world. Opal, ruby, and pearl.
Some German fella just rode up on a, looked like a Harley, I guess it was. He said he was lost. He was trying to ride old Route 66, and it comes right by here, but he definitely got off on the wrong drag.
Opal lives the golden rule. Ruby's back in nursing school. Pearl can truly stitch a work of art. One of them has good advice. One breaks the rules and don't think twice. One needs to mend a wounded heart.
There's just a teeny little spot that's still relatively flat right there. It's about the size, smaller than a quarter, I guess. It's getting pretty close now. If you can see it, you can see there's quite a lot of rough bumps and grooves in it there, but that's just part of carving, you know, just the way it goes. Now we'll take the tooth blade, and that will leave little tiny grooves, but they'll be very tiny, and it will allow me to smooth out all these rough bumps. We have the tooth blade in the small plane now, so now I'm just going to go through everything kinda and just cut everything, kind of level it out. This really does a nice job on leveling and getting all the big bumps out.
I believe I'll meet up with those girls. Precious gems in that new world. Opal, ruby, and pearl.
There was a time we'd be the last to leave, watching the sun come up while everyone fell asleep. The music was always loud. I'd sing and play too much till I fell in your arms and into your loving touch. Now as the years roll by, time has reeled me in, and I've slowed down a notch or two from the way things were then. Those old ways of mine, I've left them behind. Those crazy days are through. The only thing I still do,
Well, I've carefully sharpened and honed this scraper, and it is literally razor blade sharp. It is sharp, boy. I mean, it's so sharp it's almost scary. It will just peel the hair right off. I mean, you barely don't even have to touch it, and it just shaves the hair right off. Now, what I'm going to do is take a burnisher, and I'm going to burnish this edge over. I'll put it in a vise like this, and I'll take this burnishing tool, which is just a real hard piece of shiny steel, and roll it over this edge, and it'll just bend that edge over. Then that'll give me a real good scraping edge for scraping this mandolin. I burnished the edge of this, got it turned over. I haven't even tried it yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to cut because it's really sharp. You can see the fine scrapings that it pulls off. You got to remember, back in Stradivari days, there was no 3M, so there was no sandpaper, and this is what they used to smooth their instruments, was a scraper.
But I love you as much today as the very first time. And those old ways of mine, I've left them behind. Those crazy days are through. The only thing I still do like I used to do is carry this torch for you. I still want you the way I wanted you then. If I could do it all over, I'd do it all over again. And those old ways of mine, I left them behind. Those crazy days are through. The only thing I still do like I used to do is carry this torch for you. The only thing I still do like I used to do is carry this torch for you.
Oh, okay. Up to this point, I've spent probably 2-3 hour sessions, maybe a little more than that, I'm not sure, carving it up to this point. And it's completely hand carved, and you can see that it's starting to be pretty smooth now. I've done the scraping, it's really just kind of a light scraping just to kind of level it off. And so I can get down and really look at it close and see where there's any imperfections or where it's not symmetrical across the top. I thought you might get a little kick out of this. This is a pattern that I took directly off of a 1924 lower that I disassembled back in the mid-90s and repaired that mandolin, and it's still going strong and considered by many to be one of the very best Lloyd lower mandolins ever. But anyway, I took this pattern directly off of that mandolin, and when you lay it on here, you'll see quite a bit of difference. The body on this one, now keep in mind this body's just slightly oversized anyway, but only a little bit. But this pattern is, I would say it's a good 1/8 inch to 3/16 smaller, almost all the way around. That'll give you some idea that the Lloyd lower is a little bit smaller. And here's the pattern that I took when I first started building mandolins. This is the pattern that I used to use, which is off of the Roger Siminoff book. Now that was the first book. I don't know if he's changed his pattern. He may have. But you can see that this pattern is pretty close to the size and of the Kentucky. So what I'll probably do, and I'll have to look at this, I'll probably center this pattern on here and use these F-holes. I like these F-holes a little better. And so we'll probably go with that, and I have these little marks here where I can brace the top, and these are just the cutouts where the braces went across here, just so I can mark where the braces go. And I'll probably use this for the brace pattern as well. So we'll carve the F-holes. We'll carve all the thicknesses to the exact thicknesses of that 24 lower. And we'll put the F-holes and the braces in the exact same place that they were on the 24 lower. Realizing that there are some minor differences on the outside perimeter. But hopefully, that'll make a real good sounding mandolin top. Now that I have the top pretty well shaped, I lay this bridge on it. These are German-made bridges, I believe. At least that's where they used to be made. I guess they still are. And the bridge now almost fits perfectly just by laying it on there. They're very consistent bridges, so I like them real well. And not that I use that as my measurement, but if it's not close, then we know we're still a ways away. It's pretty darn close right now. It would only take a little bit of tweaking to make it fit perfectly. I'm looking down the neck. You can't see that in the video here, but the neck is canted a little bit. Like I said before, it's tilted this direction. So this side is a little bit higher than this side compared to the flat sides. That's not uncommon. I see that pretty often. So I think we can just deal with that. I'm not going to do anything special for that. Looking down it now, I'm catching this about right in the center of this, and that looks to be pretty close. I think we'll be fine. I don't really feel like I need to reduce this much. The additional scraping and sanding that I've got to do on this, I think we'll take it down all that we really need. If we need to, we can always cut a little bit of the bottom off of the saddle and just lower the saddle down just a hair. We can also take a little bit off the feet here and lower that a little bit if we need to. I don't think we're really going to need to, but we might. So I'm going to call this outside close enough for now. And we may work on it some more, and I usually do as I carve the inside. As I start carving that inside, I want to make it, like I said, as close to those lower specs as possible. And often it'll require me to go back and adjust the outside a little bit. So I think with all that said, we're about ready to draw in where the braces and things go on the inside, or the blocks go. I'm going to draw that in first, and then draw a slight outline around this outer perimeter, and then that way I'll have I'll have a reference to carve to. One of the things I just noticed about the tail block on this is how much bigger it is than what's normally put into the lower, or what I put into my mandolins. I don't see any reason for it to stay that big, and if you look down in here, it's not even touching the back, so it's not holding anything on the back until you get almost out to the outer edge. So what I think I'm going to do is cut this off to match approximately how big the lower tail block is, and I think I'll just chisel that back, and then it won't stick out into the carving area here so far, and we can thin this top down a little better, and it won't interfere. You can probably see my little pattern here that I have, and got it laid on here. So what I'll do is just trace around that little pattern, and that's the size that the lower tail block is, because I took that right off of a 24 lower. So we'll cut that extra meat out of there. There's no point in having it in there.
It's 5 o'clock and one more working day is finally at an end. I hurry from my job and start the car and fight the traffic once again. Heading down the interstate, my tension eases as the traffic thins. I leave my worries far behind and wonder what the in crowd might be doing. Farther down the road, a pretty woman's waiting.
Check it against my pattern one more time just to see how it looks.
There's a lot of women there, and pretty soon that's where I'm gonna be.
It's pretty good. It's just about the right thickness now. It's still a little longer this way than the lower, but that's not going to hurt it much, I don't believe. But that ought to help quite a bit. That'll even take a little extra weight off of it. No point toting all that extra weight around. There's actually quite a bit there. I'm going to redraw the pattern on the back here now, so you can see how much difference. That's where the old one went. Now here's where the new one's going. So that's a good 1/4 of an inch, literally, that we took off of that other block. That's a much better deal right there. Gives you a better carving angle and everything too. So let's get started.
gather round me. It makes me so proud to be in with the in crowd.
I'm sure we're nowhere near close enough to worry about it yet, but we are close enough now, and I can see a pretty good bow in there now that I'm curious as to how thick we are, and so I'm going to go get the calipers that I use for this, and we're going to start checking some general measurements. And I have my calipers here. I'm going to just check the thickness here in the center, and that says around 320 thousandths, which is quite thick. So we know we've got a long ways to go. And what is it? The line is a short time to get there. Now, I've mentioned before that I'm not going to be giving out the specs on the Lloyd Loar that I took apart in 1924. I called it a trade secret. To which I got emails from people that know more than me and said, Lloyd Loar specs are not a trade secret, they're on the internet. And I said, well, that's true, but these Lloyd Loar specs are not on the internet, and they're not all the same. And this one, as I told you, is considered by many people to be the best Lloyd Loar out there. So, I am not going to be giving those specs out, and I'm sorry about that, but it's just the way it is. I had very good luck carving to these specs, and the St. Louis mandolin that you may have seen in my other episode, just saw the man that owned that last night, as a matter of fact, at a jam session. He works out of the St. Louis area, but he comes to Rolla and works a day or two a week. And he's a doctor, and he's got quite a practice. He owns a Lloyd Loar and a couple of Gilchrists. And he compliments the Rosa mandolin very highly. He said it's the best mandolin in terms of tone, across the board that he's ever played. I call that high praise, and I say a lot of it's due to the way that we carve it to that 24 Loar specs. Okay, we're starting to get into the ballpark range of where we want to be. So I'll lighten up my strokes a little bit, smooth it out a little bit, try to get... Well, the camera quit on me while I was carving this, and it ran out of space, basically, is what happened. We made some more progress on it. You can see now there's a pretty good gap under there. We're getting in the ballpark of where we need to be. We're still quite thick yet. So this is where the time actually starts to come in on this, is where you try to get it tweaked down to that 1,000th of an inch, to carve it like that Loar was carved. But anyway, we're going to call this good for right now. I thought you might find it interesting to see what this thing weighs. And it's on ounces right now, and it says it's 5.6 ounces. Let's turn it to grams, because grams is a lot more precise. Okay, there's the grams. And it's 162 grams right now. My guess is we're going to be down to around 120 some grams when we get her. I can't remember if that was my number or not, but it seems like that's about right. So it's going to be quite a bit lighter yet by the time we get her there. That's going to be a wrap for this part of the video.